This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to this customized recording. I'm Debbie Weems, and Steve Hoffacker is one of our clients. Steve, thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Debbie. So many people, when we do the CAPS 1 class, we talk about connecting to potential partners in the marketplace, and LinkedIn is one of the ones, the resources we cite, and many people either do not have a LinkedIn profile, have not taken full advantage of it, have an old one, and I thought you would be the perfect individual to stress to them how they might spiff that up a bit and really get re-involved. So it's a pleasure to have you making this presentation.
Thank you so much. It's awesome to have this opportunity and share some best practices with your audience. So here we go. And this is being recorded as a customized instructional best practices of using LinkedIn. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation that will be available as a PDF. You can get in touch with Steve and he will give you the best way to get that PDF. It is going to be a series of the slides that you're about to see and some additional information about DW Consulting Solutions. So what I want to do first is go through a few stats about LinkedIn because interestingly, a lot of times people don't realize just how big this site is. And it's always fun to give people a little bit of extra knowledge about LinkedIn. A few reasons why you might want to pay more attention to LinkedIn, especially if you're new to the site. LinkedIn has been around for a while. They're actually going to celebrate 19 years in May. They hit 800 million members last November. And what's interesting now is they continue to grow thanks to Microsoft. Microsoft bought LinkedIn. It was about 5 years ago, and they've been doing some wonderful enhancements and improvements to the site ever since. So a couple of stats. 135 million plus members are actually considered active. So that's an important differentiation to the 800 million number. Is kind of mind-boggling. 135 million are actually active. That's still a pretty good audience to pursue for prospecting, finding new clients, or putting yourself out there. Because as you'll find in this recording, LinkedIn is a two-way street. I'll get to more on that in a minute. So active members, what does that mean? It means that they're actually on LinkedIn, on the platform, 3 to 4 times a week. Now, when I started my business a little over 10 years ago, that was not the case. And back then, LinkedIn had about 400 million, I think, which we thought was terrific, and who knew it was going to double. But they're growing all the time. And as people find out more about how they can use LinkedIn, they usually become pretty interested in learning more. So right now, LinkedIn is still adding more than 2 new members per second around the world. So while you're listening to this recording, about 6,200 more new members will be joining LinkedIn before this presentation is over. And that is mind-boggling. So it has become the world's largest professional online network. And the key word there is professional. Facebook has the largest audience. And it's important to know the difference because they are 2 different platforms. You can do a similar work with Facebook, but if you want to get in front of professionals in any industry, right now there's over 142 industries that are represented on LinkedIn. If you want to get in front of a very targeted audience of who you would like to be talking to, engaging with, and building relationships with, you want to pay attention to LinkedIn. So they also have now a little over 35 million LinkedIn pages. And a LinkedIn page is different. On LinkedIn, there's 2 things. LinkedIn profiles, and that's what you always start with. You have to have a profile. If you're a business owner, and I know a lot of you are, then you can create what's called a LinkedIn page. and it acts like a mini website. And everything you do on that LinkedIn page, which is free to create, by the way, if you're a business owner and you meet a little bit of criteria with how many connections you have and the type of email you use for your business, most people fall into, checking both of those categories. And at that point, you can start a LinkedIn page. So it complements your profile and it complements your website if you have one. And truth be told, I know a lot of you are entrepreneurs too. When I started my business, I used LinkedIn as my website. I didn't have a website for about 4 years into my business. And I really got the website because I felt I needed to have one because I was a business owner. But I did just fine. If your funding is limited, you'll do just fine using LinkedIn and a LinkedIn page, and you're good to go as a business owner. Now, this is really important. There were over 6 billion searches done on LinkedIn last year. So as the service providers you're probably going to try to get in front of maybe, oh my gosh, Steve knows your market better than I do. But with what you offer, I know he mentioned that within his client database, he has interior designers, builders, therapists, home care agency providers and all sorts of things like that. So the point is, you're going to be found on LinkedIn for what you do if you have a profile that is properly keyword optimized, and that's what it's called. We're going to get into that in detail. So Microsoft, as the owner of LinkedIn, they have some pretty wonderful things in mind for this year. I've had a sneak peek of a couple of them, new features that are coming out that we're really excited about. You're actually going to be able to hold meetings right on LinkedIn with people on screen, kind of like Zoom. And they pay attention to the other platforms, and they do a lot of analysis before they decide to introduce new features and options. So I want to explain how the LinkedIn network is put together. This will help you understand the rest of this instruction that I'm going to offer a little bit better. So when you are on LinkedIn, you're going to do 2 things. You're going to have a great professional presence because of the profile and all the information you put in, but you're also going to be starting to build a business network. And a great place to start, if you're brand new to LinkedIn, use your phone. You've got contacts in that phone, and most of them are probably on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised who you find on LinkedIn. You can think right in your neighborhood, your neighbors that are professionals, what do? Look them up on LinkedIn. If you are a pet owner, look up your veterinarian. I'm betting that he or she is on LinkedIn. And that's the way you think about it. All the different professionals that you know, whether they have something to do with your particular expertise or not really doesn't matter. You're on LinkedIn to build relationships. And when you learn how to do that effectively, and you'll get all the tips you need right now today for learning how to be more effective at invitations to connect. But when you start building your network, you're building your visibility right along with it. So I'm going to use Steve as an example. When Steve and I connected on LinkedIn, we became first level connections because the site was founded on the idea of the 6 degrees of separation. That is an ancient theory that all the people in the world are connected by 6 people, and which sounds like, really, sounds kind of impossible, but it is true. And when you're on LinkedIn for any length of time, you will be very surprised by how people are connected. So Steve and I connected, we became first level connections, and our connection count went up by 1, each of us. Okay, but I have been on LinkedIn for about 14 years, and I have been consistently building. I have almost 13,000 first level connections now, and I still keep adding, but in a very strategic way. This is definitely not a numbers game, and it shouldn't be treated as one either. You're not going to say yes to everybody that invites you to connect, and you're not going to just throw out invitations for the sake of building a big number of connections. That is not our mindset, and it's not a best practice, and I'll get into more on that in a little bit. So You connect with someone, your connection count goes up by 1, but you're bringing that person's network into yours. So when Steve and I connected, which was several years ago, but I'm going to use today's figures, he brought my 1,300 first level connections into his network. He's not connected to all those people, but they are second level members to him. And vice versa. I brought all of his connections into my network as second level members, and all of those members have connections who are now in both of our networks as third level members. So when you bring up a profile on LinkedIn, you're going to see first, second, or third after the person's name, because LinkedIn wants you to know exactly how you are linked to that person you're looking at. And this is a very easy way to start thinking about how the LinkedIn network is put together. Now, here's the important part of all that explanation. When you're on LinkedIn, it's a two-way street. You can do outbound marketing by inviting people to connect in a strategic manner to start building relationships with people that could turn into business for you. Conversely, you can put yourself out there with your profile, your activity, what you do on LinkedIn, and that is called outbound marketing. And it's a two-way street of being found and putting yourself in front of people that you want to connect with. Over 90% of searches are organic because people don't know who they're looking for. They just know what they need. So you think about your keywords in terms of what would somebody type into the search field to find me if they didn't know my name, they didn't know my company name, they didn't know anything about me, but they might need my expertise. That's how you think about keywords without getting overwhelmed and overthinking keywords. So I'm going to get into LinkedIn Live in just a couple of minutes, but I wanted to explain that it's really important to have your keywords together that describe your expertise and to put them in all the right places on LinkedIn. Because if someone has your name, they can jump right on your profile. But you have to remember, most searches are keyword driven. They are organic. So I wanted to make sure you understand that. Okay. So the outbound marketing, there's a bunch of things that you can do to help build your businesses. You're going to extend your visibility by being on LinkedIn, maybe posting occasionally and taking action on other people's posts. So there's a lot of engagement that takes place on LinkedIn's homepage. We are going to have increased access to prospects through LinkedIn groups and LinkedIn pages. You're going to have targeted searches that you can do. If you know who you want to be in front of, who your target market is, it can be sought by titles or by companies or by industries. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can do what we call targeted searches, and you will reduce your time to get a nice list of people that you should connect with in minutes instead of hours. So when LinkedIn is used properly, it is a super powerful branding and relationship building site. So the inbound marketing, that's attracting people to your profile. I don't know if a lot of you have staff, but everybody in your staff should be on LinkedIn with a profile, even if they're not going to do a whole lot on the site, because it is a case of how you are perceived as a professional and as a business owner. So I know that's not going to apply to everybody. This will. And when I say you're being viewed now, I mean it. And if you have the mobile app for LinkedIn on your phone, you can do this right now while I'm talking. It's that fast. Otherwise, you can follow the PDF that comes with the recording and check your search appearances later. But on either the phone or a desktop application for LinkedIn, here's how you can see who's looking at you, who has been finding you in searches. On your profile, you scroll down to an area. Most people are going to see analytics. If you are not very active on LinkedIn or brand new, you might see an area called dashboard. So it's either going to say dashboard or analytics. Most people now have been transitioned to this new display of analytics. And there's 3 figures right in front of you. So the first one is profile views, and that's actually who has viewed your profile. And if that's a number, if you tap on the number, it's going to show you the last 5 people that looked at you if you're on the basic free membership. If you're on a paid upgraded membership, you're going to see 3 months worth of people that have viewed you. The next figure is if you've been posting, it'll tell you how many people have seen your post. But the third number over or down, if you're on mobile, it's the third number down. If you're on desktop, it's the third number to the right. It's going to say search appearances. This is a 7-day figure. I love this. I love this stat because I check it on Wednesdays because they track how many searches you've come up in the past week. And the week runs Tuesday to Tuesday. So every week this is going to change. But whatever that number is that's on that you're looking at now, that's how many times you've appeared in searches in the past 7 days. So pay attention to that number. It gets very interesting. When you tap on the number, LinkedIn's going to show you a random list of, depending on how many searches you showed up in, they're going to just show you a random list of 4 or 5 companies out of that bunch that have found you. And that later on serves to show you who you're attracting to your profile. So you want to come up in those searches. You want people to land on your profile. You want to use LinkedIn for branding and marketing. So you want to be found for what you offer. And a keyword optimized profile, which is what we do first with every single client. Doesn't matter if it's a CEO or a business owner or someone launching a business or even a college student. They use LinkedIn prolifically for job seeking. It doesn't matter. Everything starts with the profile, and it starts with making sure all your keywords are in the right place for those organic searches. So 7 times more likely to show up in searches if you put those keywords in all the right places. And I'm going to tell you where to put them. Actually, the first goal, okay, have the most professional presence possible. The second goal, you want to be found on LinkedIn for what you do or what you offer. And then secondly, once you get your keyword optimized profile together, you're ready to be found. And this means that you're going to come up in more searches. You're going to be engaging with people that you need to engage with. And you want to, bottom line, you always want to focus on building your network and engaging with those people that you connect with. That's really essential to the whole package deal here. Invitations, find something that resonates. And let me just check something here. Okay, so when you get ready to connect with someone, you want to be on the person's profile. And be careful because LinkedIn loves to put connect all over the site and suggest people here and there. That's fine as long as you don't hit connect. Until you're on the person's profile, this is really important. If you hit connect anywhere on LinkedIn and you're not on the person's profile, out goes a wordless invitation that is not going to help you. Especially if you're looking at a prospect and you're thinking, wow, this is somebody I really need to get in front of. I'll just hit connect. Don't do that unless you're on their profile, because you can't, I mean, you can withdraw the invitation, but then you got to wait 3 weeks to re-invite them. Quirky little thing that LinkedIn has for a rule. But just make sure in your mind, think profile. Get on that person's profile, because LinkedIn will suggest people to you all over the site. They do it all the time, and they have a little word connect next to the picture, and people think, oh, let me just hit connect and I'll connect with them. Well, you might if they know who you are, or they take the time to look at your profile because you haven't said anything. So we are huge believers in a process called personalizing invitations. Literally, it takes less than a minute to tell the person, hello, although we've not met, I'd love to connect with you because, and you give them a very concise business reason for wanting to bring them in your network. And you can get that from their profile. So when you're on the profile of anybody, take time, and I'm talking a couple of minutes, doesn't take that long. Scroll through their profile. You're looking for synergy. You're looking for anything that resonates that you can mention in that invitation. This is particularly important when you're trying to invite somebody that is a complete stranger, but they would be a great client or a good prospect, or they might be connected to people that you need to get in front of. You know, this is a network that's very layered, first, second, third level members. When you do things properly on LinkedIn to build that network, you're going to be able to go back and leverage those connections later for introductions to other target markets. It's really, I love LinkedIn. I can talk about it all day. But when you understand how it works and you start trying different things that I'm suggesting in this recording, you're going to see some activity. You're going to see some results. And sometimes it does not take very long to start happening. That's when it really gets fun. And I'm telling you, when you go through those contacts in your phone, you will probably be surprised more than once at who is on LinkedIn. So find something that resonates. One of the easiest things you can lean on if you're looking at a profile and they're not connected to you yet, but you'd like to be, look for mutual connections. And those are people that you and that person are both connected to. And use that person's name. You can drop my name anytime you see it. I always tell my clients that because I've worked with them and I know them. I might know some of you. If we've interacted and you see me as a mutual connection on someone's profile that you want to get connected to, I always tell people, go ahead and put my name right in your invitation. And this is typical of what we would say. This is to someone you don't know, but you'd like to connect to, and I'm a mutual connection. You can say hello, first name. Although we've not met, I noticed that we are both connected to Debbie Weems. I know her through networking in West Palm for years, or something simple like that. Or I've worked with her, you know, she's great. Or whatever you want to say. You can drop my name like that and then say, I'd like to connect and expand our networks. Thanking you in advance. And I say best regards in my first and last name. I just gave you a template that we have been using since I came up with it 7.5 years ago. I have not changed that template at all. I always say hello, first name. I don't say hi, that is casual. I will if I know the person or they're a relative or something like that. But with business, it is business. And you want to maintain that integrity and professionalism with everything you do on this site. You're going to get a lot further, a lot faster if you are just plain polite, kind, businesslike, and don't take up a lot of their time. You know, you have 300 characters in your invitation template. Use them, but make them count. So that's a great little template to use, and you can use it on any person on LinkedIn that you don't know. You start it with hello, first name, and then your first few words on the invitation are, although we've not met, comma. That puts them at ease. They know that they don't know you and you don't know them, but you go on to give them a business reason to connect. I have a 98% conversion rate. Almost everyone I invite says yes. And I'm using that template or a variation of it. We have several that we give our clients, but that one works really well for anyone that you don't know. And if you take a minute, it actually takes about 30 seconds to say thank you to a new connection, you're going to stand up from the crowd. And, you know, it's a great way to start a professional relationship. So 2 things here. Personalize your invitation. When they connect, you're going to get notified by LinkedIn, and you want to go right to their profile and hit message and say, hey, thanks for connecting. Great to have you in my network. I look forward to your posts or something like that, and then sign your name and you're done. Very simple, professional acknowledgement of that new connection. Please be professional. No selling, no selling, no selling until you've got that relationship built. You know, this is sales 101. Steve and I are old school. And you know, it's a practice that's never going to go out of style. People want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. and you have to be willing to take the time to do that. And that is a mistake we see often made on LinkedIn, where people are just too quick. They get a person in front of them and they know, wow, this person could really be a great client. Let me just tell them why, and in their invitation, they're actually trying to sell you something right off the bat before you even connect or say hello or have a conversation or a Zoom call. And it's too soon. You really, really can't do that and be effective on LinkedIn. And you might, in fact, get shut down for that practice. LinkedIn wants you to be professional. So please don't sell until you know the person a little bit, and you can then find out if they even need what it is you have. So you have to allow that time factor to kick in. There's a whole bunch more ways to cultivate a relationship, but you have to be willing to take the time. And those are the people that are successful on this site. Okay, so I like to get over to LinkedIn. This is my last slide. Invitations to connect are 5 times more likely to be immediately accepted if they're personalized. And these are stats that are done by Microsoft. They bought LinkedIn about 5 years ago, or they acquired LinkedIn. That's the proper way to say that. And they're doing some wonderful things to elevate the site to new levels. And this is important to know right here. Desktop and mobile, 2 different things when it comes to personalizing an invitation. It's different steps between the 2 devices. So when you're on a desktop, PC, laptop, iPad, when you go to the person's profile, then you hit connect, you're going to get a little option that says add a note. That's where you personalize your invitation. When you're on this device, it's a little different. Initially, you'll get on someone's profile, look at the bottom of your screen, and it might say view full profile. Make sure you're on the full profile. And then next to the word connect, you're going to see 3 little dots. That's called an ellipsis. And you want to tap the 3 dots, and that's where you'll see the option. It'll say personalized invitation. We wish LinkedIn would be streamlined too, but for now, that's how you personalize an invitation on either device. So I wanted to mention that because people get confused and they say, I just hit connect and it just went away. That's because you got to click those 3 little dots and then personalize. Okay, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Over 90% of searches on LinkedIn are organic. People are using keywords because they just don't know the name of the people that they need. Complete your profile, start building your network. Even though I have almost 13,000 connections, I follow our own instruction. I kick out 5 invitations every morning. That's the time I find it convenient to be on LinkedIn for inviting people. You can send out invitations any time of the day. So our little action plan that we share with clients tells the client, you can do this any time of day, whatever's convenient for your schedule, because I know it's something new. You want to fit it in, and you want to try to make LinkedIn a habit. And we prefer people to follow our action plan, and it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, whenever that's convenient, to invite some people to connect, take some activity and action on the home page feed, and you're done. If you have a company page, there's a couple more steps because you want to keep your company page active too. But the bottom line is, don't undervalue the importance of the About section and being active on LinkedIn. The About section, a lot of people skip it on their profile because it involves writing, and a little bit of bragging should be in there. That's totally appropriate because you are using that 2,600 character space to talk about a combination of things. You, who you are, what you do, why you're passionate about it, how you can help people. And that's as important as telling people your why. And that's where you have to get a little bit personal and tell people why you love the work you do. and I'm making a big assumption, but I certainly hope most of you are happy in your jobs and your work. But that's where you start to build the relationship before the people even connect with you, by having a good narrative. That's called the About section. And by the way, if you're concerned about upgrading, or, is it valuable and is it worthwhile for me to upgrade my membership? Remember this stat, please. 94% of the 800 million members on LinkedIn are using the free basic profile, free basic membership. There's a lot you can do on that initial level. And we love to work with people that have upgraded, because we have go-arounds for a lot of the things that you pay for on premium. We're not against upgrading your membership. We just want to make sure you're using what you're paying for. And a lot of people have the mindset, oh, if there's a charge for it, it must be better. Not necessarily. We don't want you spending money every month and not using half of what you're paying for, because then you're kind of missing out. So stick with the basic membership. There's a number of things you can do to get a lot of information from us as a company. We have a monthly newsletter that we put out. We have a website you can go to. This is my last slide. Those are my 3 coaches. We do 15-minute profile evaluations day in and day out, all 3 of us. And the link to schedule from each of us is right here. By the way, if you prefer Portuguese or Spanish, Kelly is your girl. She's trilingual, and we love her to death, because she opened us up to offering all of our services in Portuguese or Spanish as well as English. Davey's been with me for almost 5 years. Both of those coaches have been trained exactly the same as I teach people to use LinkedIn. So use us for that free evaluation. And now I'm going to skip over to LinkedIn. And now you should be looking at Steve. So we've worked with Steve a number of times. If you are a business owner, you can use this area as what we call a standing ad for your business. The minute anyone lands on Steve's profile, they have every possible way to get hold of him or look into his website. It's right there. Those are not live links. It's not Nirvana. But at least people can, copy down and, go over to the internet and look up his website if they'd like to. Or down through his profile, when you go into the experience section, he's really doing well with his activity. He's busy. When you create an entry, if you're a business owner, and you create the free company page, I still call it that. It's called LinkedIn Profiles and LinkedIn Pages. If you are a business owner, you can create a free LinkedIn page if you have at least 100 connections. And you have to have a profile ranking of all-star. And you can't see that on Steve's profile, but you can see it, I think, on mine. This is my profile. And in your analytics, where is it? Okay, I'm learning something new as we speak. So it used to be right here. Apparently, they don't have to have an all-star ranked profile anymore to be an owner of a LinkedIn page. That's an advantage. Basically, it means you've completed enough of your profile to satisfy LinkedIn as being a good profile. That's keyword optimizing it and completing some of the fields that I'm going to talk about in a second. But while we're talking about LinkedIn pages, let me show you where to go to create one. So you want to go under, I think it's under work. I don't know why they put it there, but way over to the right of your navigation bar is a little grid with the word work. If you tap on it, look down at the bottom. They put things in strange places sometimes. But if you tap on create a company page, it is so simple. I tell people all the time, we used to do a 2-hour workshop to create company pages. They've made it so easy now. We don't have that workshop anymore. You can do it on your own. And then if you want enhanced, instruction on how to really beef up your company page and use it to your advantage, you can hire us, and we do a session in about 90 minutes that'll teach you everything you need to know about your company page. So I encourage any business owners on this recording to start a company page if you're a business owner, because it's going to enhance everything you're doing for marketing. Okay, so back over to Steve's profile, and I want to address some of the questions that Steve gave me in advance. And let me go into, I'm going to use his profile for a minute or two or three. Okay, so this is Steve's profile, and my other tab that's open, this is going to be Steve's page. A little bit different. Well, LinkedIn page, if you're a business owner, it is all about your company. Everything you post on it is promoting your company. It is a strict branding tool, but you can also get what's called followers. And that's a simple thing of going to his page. And I'm just going to make a big assumption that every one of you watching this is already following his page. And if you're not, you need to look up Steve Hoffacker, LLC, and hit this follow key right here, because he does some really great posting, and it's another way to see what's going on with his business. And LinkedIn pages are great to have, so take advantage of that if you're a business owner. Okay, back on his profile. So the 5 fields, so he asked me a whole bunch of questions. So for one thing, we've got, how to get started. If you're brand new to LinkedIn and you don't have a profile yet, all you need to do is open your browser, go to www.linkedin.com, and up comes a page that says, welcome to LinkedIn. Are you a member? And if you're not, click that link and you'll start on the process to build an account with LinkedIn. You need a name, an email address, and a password, and you're in. It's that simple. It's free. And then you just take your time. And now I'm addressing people that are brand new to LinkedIn. You might not even have a profile yet, but you want to go to that LinkedIn website, linkedin.com, and say join now, and just read everything that they throw at you, because you do not need to have a paid account. You want the basic free membership. And it's a step-by-step process. First, they're going to ask you for your name, where are you located, are you a business owner, what do you do, what's your current company, what's your current title. Everything is a template. You fill it in and it'll say next. You fill it in and it'll say next. So it takes you right through putting a basic profile together. And in the beginning, you're not going to have anything back here. This is a banner, and you're going to have a tri-colored banner. Who did I just work with? Tammy. I think Tammy still has the default banner. She hasn't gotten there yet. Yep, this is what it looks like when you're brand new. And if you've been on LinkedIn for a while and your background banner looks like this, get something in there, please. If you're a business owner, I already covered that. Get a banner created with all your business information so it can be like a standing ad. And otherwise, you can Google your location and put free images after it. So if you're in West Palm Beach and you just want to grab a free image off of Google, you just Google West Palm Beach, Florida, free images. And Google will bring up a bunch of images that are, you don't have to worry about infringing any photographer copyrights. So that's a quick and easy way to get an image. You can also use your own image. Just know people, kids, pets. If you're going to use your own image, maybe you took a trip and took a beautiful picture of a landscape or, a city profile or whatever. You get the idea. Any image is better than none. This is the best image if you're a business owner. Get all your information created. Of course, we offer that service if you'd like to use us. We developed this banner for Steve, And we also put this together for his company page. I still call it company page because that's what it is. They dropped the word company. Now they call it LinkedIn pages, LinkedIn profiles, because with the pages, now they encourage nonprofits, professional organizations, almost anyone can create a LinkedIn page now. It's not just for companies, it's for entrepreneurs too. So LinkedIn pages, LinkedIn profiles. In the profile, when you get your keywords together, make sure you're using them right here in the headline field. And then you can add what's called an about section. Now we did this, we've worked with Steve to build out his profile. So this is our work, but it gives you an idea of how much information we put together. You need to treat LinkedIn like a branding and marketing tool, because it is, and you want to get people on your profile, and then you want to give them enough information so that they want to know more. And always use keywords all the way through it. In the experience section, you want to initially, your first experience entry is going to be what you're doing right now. Title, company, and a description of what you do, when you started, and where you are. And that is all right here. And then going backwards, one of Steve's questions was, how far back do you go with experience? We usually suggest about 15 years, unless if you've been in the same industry doing the same work for 30 or 40 years, it's okay to go back further. Just make entries though. Don't put a lot of data or content into those older entries. Basically, you want enough data so that they know it's a continuation of your expertise. So if you have been, if you've been a therapist for decades, and you obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but hopefully you love what you do. If you've stuck with it that long, don't be afraid to list those older jobs. But as you go backwards, you're going to say less. So with Steve, he's been doing this work for a long time. And he also did years of sales training and marketing. That's good for people to know, because now he is a trainer. He's really good at what he does. This is validation of that. And as you go backwards, people are going to read enough into your background here to know, okay, here, National Director, National Association of Home Builders, and one line description. That's all he needs. If people want to know more, or if they have been a member of the Gold Coast Builders Association, that's synergy. If he didn't have that entry, even though it's from 2006 to 2010, if he didn't have that entry, he'd be missing out on that opportunity to grab the attention of other people that were members or are members of that organization. So that's how you think about going back in your experience section. Don't get real detailed. The older stuff, they're not going to really read paragraphs of information about it. So you've got headline, the about section, your current work, your past work, and the fifth area for keywords is right down here under skills. And you get to add 50, 50. And LinkedIn will help you along the way. But those are the 5 basic fields for keywords. You can get into posting, you learn about that. And then you can do what's called showcase your posts. This is fairly new. It's called featured. You have to post first, and then you can feature your post here. So that gives you a chance to kind of blow up your visibility about whatever you want to make stand out on your profile. If you have a profile that is outdated, or you haven't been on LinkedIn in years, but you have a profile, but everything is wrong, please don't delete and start over. You don't need to do that. And if you do, you're going to lose all those connections that you might have. Even if it's under 100 connections on the old profile, leave it intact and just go to your profile, and you want to look for the edit pencil. I have to go over to mine to show you that. You want to look for, bye Tammy, hold on. Sorry. Okay, so me and view profile, that's the fastest way to get to your own profile when you're anywhere in LinkedIn. Pencils. Pencil means edit. So you pull up that old profile, you hit the pencil edit and it's going to give you a template for that whole area, starting with first name, last name. If you're married, but people know you a lot by your maiden name, you can actually put your maiden name, ladies, under additional name, and it'll show up in parentheses. I use it to tell people how to pronounce my last name because it's Scottish and it's impossible. And then you scroll down through the template and just update it with whatever your current information is, and then you save it at the bottom. So you don't need to delete and start over, okay? Because when you delete a profile, you are dumping all those contacts, whatever number of connections you have. Build off of what you already have. I'm going to stop and bring Steve back on board here because I could talk forever, but I want to make sure I'm covering what I told him I would cover. I'm looking at my notes. Steve, if you tap on your camera, you will be back on, and your microphone. There you go.
Great, good stuff, Debbie. Just to keep going with where you were, someone who had a profile years ago in another state, another country, another type of business, even another name that they were going by, what would you suggest they do to bring that into the current time?
If they have any profile at all, LinkedIn really wants you to have one profile. And if you've got that many changes, or if you've left a job and you started a profile with a business address from the job and you no longer have the job, you cannot access that LinkedIn account. Well, then you have to go through the help center or us to help you either merge accounts, or if you're going to start a new one. Ultimately, in that scenario, you do need to start a new account. If it's an old address, you no longer have access to it. It's best to start a new account and then get LinkedIn's help to delete the old account. So I will give you the beginning steps to how to do that. If somebody cannot get into an old account, they need to start over with all new, fresh information. Go to me up here in the navigation bar. This time you want to tap on help. And you're going to get this little box over here. Always open help in a new tab. They'll just take you in circles if you don't. That's my first tip about going. The help center is great, but you have to know your way around it a little bit, or they can go back and forth with you and drive you crazy. So start with opening help in a new tab, and then you're going to have it exactly on a new tab, and then be concise. And what I did this morning with someone that I've worked with, or I'm going to work with, I helped her get rid of an old account. It didn't even have a picture. She had one connection. It had no data, but it was just hanging out there with her name attached to it. And so she had two profiles. And when someone types in her name, they're going to bring up both profiles and say, okay, they might have figured out which one they should go to, but LinkedIn wants you to have one. So if you can't get into an old profile, you need to get rid of it. You need to start a new one, and then you need to follow these steps. Go to the help center and say, just cannot delete old account. Hit enter. Remember, they have 800 million members. They're going to try to get you to get your own answer. Save time, scroll to the very bottom. Here's a trick that I don't usually give out, but I will. At the very bottom of the screen in tiny print, it says contact us. There is no phone number. Don't even try to call LinkedIn. That's not going to be possible. What you can do is this little trick, contact us. And now you're in a new template. And no, you don't want to chat. That'll drive you crazy. Yeah, just tap on get help from us. And when you do that, now they're going to put a little template in front of you that gives you options. What can we help you with? I just almost always pick other, because again, they're going to try to give you a gazillion bunch of choices to try to find your own answer. That can get time consuming and frustrating. So these are the shortcuts. You tap on other, and again, put your question in, cannot merge accounts. I'm just using this as an example. Short, precise, hit enter. Again, they're going to try, they keep trying to get you to get your own answer. Now you go down to the bottom and you create a support ticket. And this is how you shoot a question right into somebody that can help you. And it's an email back and forth. They'll set up a chat box with you and they'll walk you through whatever you need. Or in the case of merging accounts, they're gonna verify they are going to request ID verification, and that means you're gonna send them a picture front and back of your driver's license or a picture of your passport. Don't freak out. This is part of the process. And you need to understand they're dealing with 800 million members. They want to make sure you're not trying to delete someone else's account. And that's a good thing. You know, it's security.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got time to answer more questions, but take it from there. And of course, you guys, whoever, you can always contact us for help. It's just, you will pay for our time to do this.
Yeah, that's great. And I do encourage people to do that because you do know your stuff and you've helped me quite a bit over the years. What about someone who they want to be known by their given name, like Susan or Robert or William, but everybody knows them by a shortened name, you know, Bill or Sue or Jack or whatever? What would you say?
Right. Okay, this is a good one. I'm back on mine so I can show you the template. I'm going into that edit pencil over here because that encompasses all of this information. So I hit edit. And you can use this additional name filter, field. So this was intended for women that were divorced to put their maiden name in there if a lot of people know them by their maiden name. Okay, so I had a 20-year marriage. You won't see that married name on my profile because it's been a long time. And I am Debbie Weems. I use that additional name field here just to pronounce my name, show people how to pronounce my name. But I told you the other day, you have a very common name, Steve. So if you are known as Steve as opposed to Stephen, S-T-E-V-E-N, or Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, just use Steve if that's how most people if that's how most people know you. Because when they search for a common name like that, so let me go into the search field. All right, so I am on my home page. This is the search field. If I'm going to search for Steve, somebody, they're going to bring up every way that people are listed in LinkedIn, whether it's Steve or Stephen spelled one way or Stephen spelled the other way. And that can get mind-boggling. However, Hoffacker I don't think is a very common name, so you're covered there. It should come up with two things, your profile and your page, unless there's another Hoffacker out there by the name of Steve. So it gets interesting, but you don't have to worry too much. Just use the name that most people know you by for your first name. That's the answer to that. And, you know, when you start searching, let me just use Steve Smith. I'm sure there's thousands of them. See this right here? They're starting to give me people Stephen A, Steve. I'm sure if I look far enough, there's going to be an S-T-E-P-H-V or S-T-E-V-E-N. So that, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, okay. Along that same line, cities. And I know that for a while, LinkedIn would use a large city close to where you are. Have they changed it now and they actually let you put your city of residence in there?
That's a great question. There's two answers. First of all, two different places. What's displayed right here under your headline, your name and all that. To get to that space, you click on this pencil and you scroll down through the template and you get down to location and postal code. It's all about the postal code. Now, in this part, which shows up under your headline. You only get one postal code. So I would put the postal code that, and I know almost everybody in business, a lot of people deal outside their local area. Whatever postal code you choose to put in there. They're giving me choices. And the other choice I had was Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I don't want people to think I'm in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, but this is LinkedIn trying to be helpful, giving me choices. No, I'm going to pick West Palm Beach. So whatever you type in, watch for what they give you for choices. Pick the one that makes the most sense. That's going to get displayed on your profile right there. Okay, that's one area. And in the About section is where you explain, we do business nationwide, if that's the case, okay? Now, the other place for zip code is under your contact info right here. This is only visible, all this stuff is visible to your connections. They can see everything you have in here. If someone taps on that contact info and they're not connected to you yet, the only thing LinkedIn's going to show them is your URL, your websites if you have any in there, and they may or may not show your email address depending on your privacy controls. But as far as your address, you would build this out however the way you want to. And again, in here, and we run into this a lot because we're in South Florida. I deal with a bazillion clients that have a northern address for 6 months of the year, and then they're snowbirds and they come down here for 6 months of the year, and they get to do both. And if I was like that, I would tap this and go down a couple of lines and put Boston, Massachusetts, which is where I'm originally from, and the zip code. If I'm in 2 different places during the year, and those are the places I want people to really find me for searches and so forth, you can actually do more than 2 if you want. But this is only visible to people that are tapping on that contact info field. Hopefully that.
Yeah, and also just what you're showing there, not using, some people may not want to put their actual street address in just the city.
Yeah, you don't need street addresses in here at all. God forbid, do not put a home address in here. It is not for that. That's too much information to anybody. City, state, zip. I mean, if you really just want to put a zip code, you could, but it's a search engine field. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's really not for a brick and mortar address. If you work in an office, it could be. I mean, you could fill it out that way if you want to. But it's really a search engine field, and the search engine is looking for a zip code if you're in the States, or a postal code if you're in Canada or overseas.
And one other thing, wrapping this up, email addresses, Gmail, Yahoo, or your URL, your business address.
Yeah, if you have an AOL address, I do, but it's probably 50 years old, and I do not use it for business. I now use my AOL account for my family, and that is it. And it gets a ton of spam email. AOL will date you. It's just plain and simple. I'm being very transparent. You would be much better off going to Google and getting a Gmail address for your business.
But is Gmail preferred? Like you have DW Consulting, I have stevehofacre.com. Is that preferred over Gmail, or does it matter, or should you have both?
Okay, so the question is relevant to who do you work for? You and I are business owners. That's our business email. I'm not going to put my AOL address in there. I want people to reach me on my business email. Now, if you are an employee, that's a different scenario. If you're an employee and you're using a business email, be careful. For your account, right here for LinkedIn, I would then use a personal email, and then in the About section, tell people to contact you at your business email.
Okay,
and the
good.
reason for that is, I'll take it a step further. If by chance you part ways suddenly with your employer and you're using a business email, it takes them seconds to take over your LinkedIn account because you're using a business email. And if that happens, you're locked out. They'll change your password. Most companies of any size, if they want you on LinkedIn, they're going to try to control everything about it. As far as LinkedIn's concerned, your content, your profile belongs to you. But if you are using a business email for an employer, please consider changing your email on your account with LinkedIn to a personal email. And that way you're not going to get locked out if you lose your job or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great information. You went through a lot of questions I know people have that have been away from LinkedIn or not been on the platform at all, or just want some good tips to strengthen it. So all good stuff.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I hope people that listen to it enjoy it just as much. I appreciate the opportunity. Definitely encourage everybody to connect with us. So at that point, I'm going to stop the recording and thank you for watching.